Good evening. Stand for the pledge, please. I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I'd like to thank the veterans and their families for sacrificing. Always appreciated. Attorney Campbell is not feeling 100%, so he's going to be joining us via cell phone mute. So we're going to jump right in here and get started. First on the agenda is the financial department. So I am going to turn this over to Ms. April and Ms. Amanda.
Yes, I'll just be going over briefly the finance report. Just to give you a few highlights, you have the finance report in front of you. Anything that has been updated from the last meeting, I've highlighted in blue, so you're able to see what that update is. But and actually, the account balance and the revenue and expenditure I forgot to attach, so I will email those to you. The RFP for the renovation at City Hall, the update for that is we did meet with the general contractor about the project on September 22nd. We're awaiting a proposal to see what the cost of redoing the front half of City Hall would be. As you are already aware, we advertised it through bid. We advertised it in the newspaper for, I believe I advertised it for 4 to 5 weeks, and we unfortunately did not receive any response to our request for proposal, which has put us out there to try to receive proposals. So we've been soliciting proposals in the interim. The proposal for financial software, no decision has been made as of 9/29, but whatever is selected or chosen, a budget amendment would be required due to the cost of conversion. Is not here today because she is currently in training. An update to her training, she did complete the 15 hours of mandatory clerks training in September, and she is at training in Tifton yesterday and today for council and staff relations and community and media relations, which are both required classes for the clerk certification. I completed debt administration, which is a 12-hour class on the 23rd of September. Moving down, as far as grants, I know that's something that we're all think is very important. An update to the LMIG. It's probably going to be too late for the year 2022. Of July, so I can't guarantee that we will be approved for the 2022, but we will be for the 2023. The GMA Safety and Liability Grant, the update for that is an approved regional law enforcement liability class is available October 27th, so I've been working with the chief on having an officer attend that. The reason why we have to attend the regional training is part of the requirements in order for us to receive the GMA Safety and Liability Grant, which is a reimbursement grant. So it's reimbursable expenses for items that we have already paid for. The drinking water grant, I applied for this grant on 9/8 for $4.978 million with a city match of $530. As of the end of September, there has been no update to that. And to be honest with you, I'm not expecting any update for at least another 30 to 45 days just because they have so many applications to review. On the back, as of 9/22, the auditor is working with the plan administration to obtain the reporting needed to confirm the activity for the deferred comp. There hasn't been an update on that since, but they are working diligently on that. And you'll see below the planning and zoning update. Charlotte clearing and grading permit has been permitted. Ellington Farms, the construction's underway. Lakes of Statham, grading is underway. Nico's, Mr. Patel is here this evening, as he is on the agenda as well for an extension, but his reviews are being finalized. Providence Estates 2, those reviews are being finalized. We're in the second set of reviews for both Nico's and Providence Estates. Statham Apartments, we did hold our pre-con meeting, and their grading and clearing has been permitted. Statham Place, the reviews have been completed. We did hold a pre-con meeting. Their clearing and grading has been permitted. However, I have an update as of yesterday, and they are actually going to hold off until the first of the year to begin any sort of clearing or grading. I think with the housing market declining a little bit, I think they're wanting to wait until after the first of the year, hoping that the supply cost decreases, so all of that will even out for the sale of their houses. So as of right now, Statham Place, even though they are permitted, they are going to wait until after the first of the year. I consider the Lewis Cooper property, which is map and parcel ST04095A and B up here on Jefferson Street. The property is under contract. However, there has been absolutely no update as of 9/29. The last time that I had spoken to them, which was last month, they informed me that they thought that that applications would be submitted by the and then the Moore property, there's no movement, and there at Highway 316, there's no movement there at all. I know on the agenda, we have on here also a Public Works Department report, but unfortunately, Jordan was out of the office some this week, quite a bit last week, and he's just now getting into the again, so we do not have a Public Works report. And then you also have the Police Department's report there with you as well. And I did ask Amanda here, she's with our auditor, Bates Carter. She's here if anybody had questions about the FY21 audit. I had sent an email, I think maybe a week and a half ago or so, asking if you guys had any questions. But I didn't receive any responses, but I still asked her to attend the meeting tonight.
Before we jump to that, I know you touched on this in an email recently. Can you remind us of where we're at with the appraisal on this building?
Yes, we actually had, if you remember, actually during budget season, I had informed you that I So we did receive an appraisal from their company that GERMA subcontracts to do appraisals. Do you have that in front of you there, by any chance? We did receive one appraisal. I'll email that to everybody, and we actually have a second appraisal coming next week on the 10th for a second appraisal. So I'll go ahead and email everybody. The second one, I do expect to receive before the regular meeting.
And that first one you said is from GERMA?
Yes, it's from their subcontracted company, but yes, it's part of GERMA Property and Liability Insurance.
Can you email that to me?
Yes, I'll email that to everybody tomorrow morning.
Okay, thank you.
And then, where are we at with the budget, the parts, like the proposals for the route and the community center?
We're not getting estimates back. I got one estimate out of 7 solicited calls for heating and air at Bridges Park, and it's about double what last year's was, which is about $5,000 more than we had budgeted.
We actually talked about just holding on until after the first of the year to repair Robert Bridges Park, HVAC. Just mainly because we're kind of hoping that the costs go down after the first of the year, and two, it's our first, received proposal is, like the mayor said, $5,500 more than what we budgeted.
And y'all haven't received a proposal for the roof, at Hillman?
No, no, sir.
We had last year and
We have one, which was about what we budgeted for, which was right around, just under 25,000.
Are we gonna resolicit those?
I have to.
What about the community center, the sound system and so forth?
Matthew Bradley has a contact, but he is booked up solid until sometime this month. And some of the equipment would come through Matthew, and the sound guy would come out, assess it, and let me know what it would take. Yes.
What I hear?
Yes. Sometime this month, supposed to be.
And then just, I have one other comment. I'd like to, I haven't been out there the past few days, but this past weekend, driving into Winder on the Atlanta Highway, can we have Jordan or somebody go out there and please patch those potholes? I thought I had busted a tire. They're just getting bigger and bigger.
They have done some, but they got diverted over to Hayes Lake. I was getting a complaint a week, so we pretty much used all the coal patch there, so we'll have to see what we have. And
There's a whole line of them right there in front of the mini warehouse area.
Yeah. It's probably due to all the heavy equipment that's going in Sunset.
anyone have any questions for?
It was nice that we got the, AEDs,
Yeah,
Yeah,
so
very good.
thank y'all for knocking that out.
congratulations on that.
Appreciate it.
We thank Scott. Scott was a big part of that, and we appreciate that.
Mayor.
Mayor,
Amanda doesn't mind. Amanda, can you just give us a general overview of where we're at with the audit, how things are looking from the audit standpoint,
As far as the timeline is concerned,
and what's the expected completion date? I know that you can't give an exact date, but a ballpark completion date to have our audits called up.
so the fiscal year 2021 draft is currently with you guys for approval. I'm prepared to be here to answer any questions that you might have as far as your process moving through that approval. And I can talk about fiscal year 21 specifically if you would like to. That is going to be scheduled for release once you have approved the final draft of the tab. We are scheduled to perform field work for fiscal year 22. I think that we've got it the second week of November currently. That set of financial statements is due to the state by the end of the year, December 31st. It's probably not likely that we'll hit December 31st, but we're going to do our absolute best. There is some leeway that the state auditor's office will allow if we get close to the end of the year, somewhat into January, before they start sending out notices about them being late. So we will be out here for field work in November. That's our plan, and the reasonable expectation would be to have it released as soon around or in January as possible.
What is the official due date by the state?
December 31st, 2022.
And that'll get us, sorry.
Yes,
That'll
sir.
get us
That is
completely
your-
caught up with,
That is getting you caught up, yeah. Currently, the audit that we will be working on in November is due in December, which is why it might not be possible to make that exact deadline, but we'll be very close.
So what was the sticking point on the 21 audits that caused it to be behind right now?
Well, we started from behind, so we've been continually catching up on the audits for the last couple of years. And I think that there's been rapid progress moving through the backlogs of some of the past years that we've had. In fiscal year 21 specifically, we've been going through and making sure that all of the transactions were recorded properly for interfund activity. And then here recently, we've been meeting the council to approve additional budget adjustments to reflect changes that were mostly made due to audit adjustments.
Well, it didn't take that many months to do the 21, did it? When you all started in,
We started in
June?
spring, or in the summer.
Yeah,
yeah, it was, I think it's sometime in June.
We make an effort to prioritize moving through the work that we have available from the city. So I do think that we're getting to the point where we're gonna be on the regular rotation. So for fiscal year 23, your audit's gonna be scheduled to begin at year end and due 6 months later.
So after we accept the amended fiscal year 21 activities, this audit can go to the state for their approval? Was that the next step?
It goes to the state, at that point it's submitted and you have finalized your audit for that fiscal year. The state review and send a review letter of their comments that they might have over the audit itself, but it is a finalized audit.
Now, the prior years that were so far behind, I know we were in a mess. Have those prior audits, have they been approved by the state?
Yes.
They have.
They've been accepted and received, yes, sir.
So we're basically just 2 audits out.
Yeah.
One after you've
After
approved
we
the
approve
draft.
this, we'll be
Yes,
1
sir.
out, but currently we're 2 because we haven't approved it yet.
Yes, and the second audit that we're talking about is fiscal year 22, and it's not late yet.
In 2016, 17, 18, 19, 20, and 21, since this administration started.
Yes, sir.
Now, how quickly do they normally move on this? So if we send this guy in, the 21 in, how quickly do they usually give us a return notice if there's any problems or anything of that nature?
The state audit office?
Yes.
It takes less time when you submit not around the deadline, so I would say maybe a few weeks.
There's a part on here that says that the city of Statham has omitted the management discussion and analysis.
Yes, ma'am.
What does that mean? Could you explain that to me?
Absolutely. When the financial statements are considered as a whole, one of the things that's required to be included is a management discussion and analysis. And that allows the city to be able to explain mostly changes that have happened from the prior year. It also puts into context some of the activity that's been happening. It's still looking at the fiscal year activity. It includes a section that allows you to highlight your next fiscal year's budget and what you intend to do with it. There is discussion in it from management. Our firm will assist with that process when you get to the point of wanting to include it. One of the reasons why it's not been included is because we've been dealing with past years, so that context and looking forward into the next fiscal year is already not useful information for your financial statement readers. And it increases the amount of time that it takes to put together the audited financial statement. We have in our audit report that although it is a required part of the financial report, it's not been included because management has chosen to omit it, and that does not affect our audit opinion on the city. So I would recommend considering including it, and we can certainly discuss it most likely in fiscal year 23.
I just had a question about that.
Absolutely, it's an excellent thing to include, but again, you need to have the timeliness and the consideration of it.
I've been a finance guy, I'm assuming we got through, what, 17, 18, 19, 20, without anything major. I would assume that we don't expect anything red flag from the state on this one.
No, it will accept it, and they'll accept any additional information that we send in, like the corrective action plan that goes along with it. But that, again, once we send it in to the state, it's a finalized audit. Would you like me to touch on any of the specific, numbers that we're looking at in fiscal year 21? The draft that you're currently approving?
You might want to explain why, because they approved the draft financials at the last regular meeting, and now they've had to, receive another email with updated entries.
And that's since the first budget adjustment, right?
Yeah.
So what has changed since that point is we recognized that there were costs that were being reported in the SLOSS fund that were actually paid by the general fund. So an audit adjustment was made to move those expenditures from SLOSS to the general fund, which is actually where the funding source came from. And there is included in that audit adjustment a proposed budget adjustment to reflect those costs being paid from the general fund.
So you think we'll be done by the 31st on 26th? Or just,
Of December,
yes.
Well, I think it was relayed to us that we've got to get this one approved
And
first
then you can,
before you can move
Start.
on.
right,
You
so
can
I
work on
have not
2022.
really begun on 2022. We've done preliminary work, because again, we have big efforts to move along and be as receptive to what we're able to do, but we can't, we're not yet at the point where we have done the on-site work for the bulk of the 22 audit. I think that if we expect to be as prepared for the 22 audit as the city was with the 21 audit, we can expect to move through that information in a timely manner. I think that hitting the 12/31 deadline is optimistic, to be honest, but I do think that January of 23 is realistic.
Which, I really would like to stress, that, I know it probably doesn't feel like it from you guys' standpoint, because, you're not here every day with us, but we have, and Amanda has been very patient with me, especially trying to find stuff or locate documents, locate information. Ever since, when I first started here, us working on the 16 audit, it was crazy, it was difficult, it was hard, and it was stressful, and as the audits have gone through, I want to say that they've been easier, they've been better handled, we've been able to find the proper documents that appreciate everything that Bates Carter has done for us to help us along to get these closed out. I mean, because I guess in my opinion, I think that a good audit, is going to take 4 to 6 months to complete, and we've knocked out 5 audits in 2.5 years. That's crazy. We've worked really hard, and thank you. I mean, very supportive of the city, and so,
To underscore that, the normal audit rotation is usually a 6-month period from when your year ends to when it's due to the state. There's a reason why it has that kind of a window on it, and the city in April has pretty much been under constant audit watch for the last 2 years, and that is on top of the regular operational duties that the city employees have. So it's an undertaking for everybody.
I appreciate you coming.
Thank you so much.
Absolutely, thank you for having me here. I will be available if you have any questions moving forward, especially as we get into fiscal year '22. And I will be able to come back out and present that audit to you soon.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Okay, as far as Public Works, it's not a report, but I can say that they have, like I had said earlier, Hayes Road, they've done major patchwork out there. They've been trimming down on Price Street. In the meantime, they've done quite a few water leaks and some water taps and sewer taps, and then the day-to-day garbage and mowing and doing the limb pickup as well. So I asked the public that they call in when they have limb pickup because it makes it a lot easier scheduling. Gallon, looking for pals. So Jordan had a death in the family, and that's the reason he's been out. He's getting back into the swing of things. So next on the agenda, number one is the building permit fee schedule, which this would adopt an updated building permit fee schedule, and that is as part of the packet sent out to the council. This would update, as we've updated some of the other things, this would bring us more in line with other municipalities of our size. And it's got the highlighted section that bring to your attention. Hopefully you all had a chance that you could review it, and to City Hall if you would, and we will get them answered for you.
Is this brand new, or do we have one? And we have one. Okay.
Pretty outdated and has not been brought in line with a lot of the other things. This will actually help offset a lot of the city's costs. At this point, it doesn't matter who's been doing it or who does it. Code enforcement is not a moneymaker. Its main purpose is to keep the city looking good and keep people's property values up. As far as the permitting and the inspections, we're not really staying ahead with our current fee schedule. So it really is costing the city some money on that aspect as well. So this would help offset some of that. Nothing's really going to offset code enforcement because it's never been intended to. Like to know that their properties are worth more money today than they were.
Would it be possible to email our current fees over so we got a comparison? Or maybe I'm just not looking at this
Or if we
right.
can just have the contract that we've had, and, because I've always asked for strike throughs on, highlight what we're changing.
Okay, well, the current building permit fee schedule is on the website. It's under the business tab under planning and zoning, and also the permits, the building permits tab. So you can see everything right there. This actually came directly from. This is a simplified version of what we currently have, and some of the adjustments are the square footage cost. We simplified the way that read. We did round up let's see, the few of the items, like the fence permit has increased in cost, the driveway permit has increased in cost. The above-ground swimming pool permit has increased. It even actually covers some items that we didn't even have a permit fee for, include like fire protection, the racking system, cell towers, that would be another one. So a lot of this is not only being more specific or including additional items now that we're getting into all these building permit phases. That's how we've kind of discovered that we've missed a few. But this one is a much more simplified version.
The front part, it says the city of Statham facility rental agreement. Is that
Yeah,
just one
this
thing?
one is,
And then you've got this on the back of it, so
this is, your agenda packet is included with everything.
Double-sided.
and I'm okay with that, I'm like,
Oh, it was on front and back?
yeah, it's front and back,
Oh,
so
okay, that's why.
I'm totally,
We are only looking at this one right here.
okay, and I'm like, I'm talking about.
I didn't know it was printed front and back. Sorry about that, no, only this. So, yes, this is currently on our website under the building permit tab.
Okay,
So, you can
so
pull.
you've updated those fees? Is that
No,
what
that's
you're
what this is.
saying? That's
Well,
what
I
this
mean,
is.
based on your council approval, yes, we would like to.
Okay.
Yes.
And then we're also looking at,
Yes, that would be item number 3.
Yeah.
okay,
Yes.
all right.
What
I'm
is-
sorry, I'm confused.
No.
What is replacement of permits and COs, et cetera? What does that mean? Under other at the bottom.
Yes. Now, there's, anytime that a CO is issued or anytime a permit is issued, whether it's a demo permit or a building permit or whatever, they're supposed to have them like, what do you call it? It's put in plastic and they're supposed to put it in the construction box. A lot of times those get damaged, they get lost. So,
Laminated.
Laminated, thank you. But most of that's it's just a fee to replace a permit if it's been lost, stolen, or damaged.
Any other questions on
No, I think I just need to go on the website and compare what we have versus what we're proposing.
And like I said, this came specifically from Bureau Veritas. He put this together for us. He simplified it for us, and he was really basing a lot of this on Jackson County, Barrow County, I think that, and a couple of other municipalities that they also provide the same services for. So if you've been around, he's what works. We thought we just needed to simplify ours just a little bit.
Privacy fence or just, or any kind of little fence that you put in your yard.
It is, because there's a lot more that goes into it than just coming and asking for a fence permit. You have to get lower that either A, has to, a city employee has to take out of their day to go and take care of something, and also because we're not the ones doing the inspections, that we're paying a third party to do our inspections. So right now, we have it set up to where our inspection fee, so if something is $100, right now, the way that we have it set up, Bureau Veritas receives 65% of that, and the city receives 35% of that. And the reason why is because we're not doing the inspections, so the portion or the percentage that they take from any permit, whether it's a building permit or a fence permit or otherwise, it may take them 2, 3, 4 times to go out and do an inspection. So, but yeah, so a fence permit would be a privacy fence that you want to put on your road, because there are also ordinances that Bureau Veritas has to go and ensure that a fence can even be put on that particular there might be something in our code, like corner lots, as an example. You know, corner lots, we have to be very careful about allowing privacy fence to go onto a corner lot where there's any sort of a road intersection, because we can't block the traffic or the site from the other side of the road. So there's a lot more that goes into it other than just coming in and saying, hey, I want to build a fence, you know, you pay $150 for your permit. There's a lot of inspections and, you know, code verification and otherwise.
Any other questions on that? Okay, second on the agenda is Babaside Incorporated alcohol license extension. This would approve Babaside, Nico Patel is here this evening. He is the applicant and the owner. He would like a 2-month extension, which would end December 31st, 2022, for the selling date of licensed products for the purpose of building construction, per the December 21, 2021 regular council meeting minutes. A condition for the alcohol license application stated in the event building construction was delayed, the applicant must return to the council and ask for an extension of the selling license prior to the year ending 2022. And they will apply for their alcohol license renewal for the year 2023 and request a 2-month extension for the selling date of 2023. Would you like to speak?
Hello there. So, what I would like to ask you is that first, thank you for considering this request and giving me this extension for this project. I really wanted to open it like this month to take advantage of this holiday, but it didn't happen with all these permits that we have to wait on and everything. So we can't even break the ground yet. And the way everything going is, I really visit that you give me till April 30th, but if I can ask for it to extend it till June or August, I would really appreciate it. It's not that, believe me, I wanted that far to go, but the way everything's going till now, the way I see it, and you can ask my here, he can give you all the explanation on why all these delays come from and why it takes that long, or where everything is going on time frame. So it will just give me peace of mind. I want to open it in January or February or March. So it really is in a way, but it's just not in my hand. Once we're waiting on the last permit from the GDOT, city is done, so we can tell you about where my all permits are standing to right now. But once that's done, then only I can represent it to a general contractor to break the ground, and then their work starts. But as I say, like, I want it to be done in a few months, but it's all up to them. So just to be safe, and if you can consider it to August or something, we just don't have to go for this again. But I'm gonna try to do my best in my power with my people, with the general contractor, and get it done before. This is just if you want to see what project look like. This is the drawing of the building and how it is gonna be look like and where it is standing. This is what went into all the permits and all that. And I already took almost 1,000 in all this project just to get it approved and all that. So I'm doing all my best to get it done, but just not working my way myself. So if you can consider it, I would appreciate it. Thank you.
Mr. Patel, I have a few questions for you.
Yes, sir.
We have a few new council members since you were here last, and
Right, yeah.
I don't know that maybe they fully know what you're planning to do there, you know, with the business. But before we jump to that, did I hear you correctly? You're asking for an extension to August 31st, not April, is that correct?
If you can, like, let's say, like, if
Well,
I'm waiting on the building permit and all that, and it's not in my hand.
Hold on.
first, it's an extension
It's
to the end of the year.
Right.
And then you're gonna have to apply for your 23 license, and at that point, he'd want, it's 90 days, so
Right, that's
he would want an extension to get him till end of April. So it's actually, you're gonna have to come back to the council a second time in, let's say, February, if you renew your license the end of the year. And then in February, you'll, at that point, know what your timeline is, and if it's, you know, if it's May 15th, you'd wanna know that.
I think the way that our current alcohol code reads is, the reason why we're asking for a 2-month extension, that's because council approved it through the end of October 31st. So the 2-month extension, and the extension is only to which he applied and paid for, okay? So the 2-month extension is only going to the end of this year because we have 2 months to make up, right, for the rest of this. Come back anyway and apply for his 2023 alcohol license. So he's gonna come in and pay for that anyway for the year 2023. You have 6 months from the time, right, no, it's 60 days, isn't it? I think 60 days from the time that you receive your alcohol license to, that you have to start selling products, I guess, is the way that our ordinance reads. So if he comes back in, he gets his license for the year 2023, he has at least 60 days, right, before he has to start selling. Well, he's gonna come in and ask for an extension, which would put him at the end of April 30th for a 2-month extension after the 2 months that you already get. So that's why the April 30th is, you know, the extension deadline for 2023. But he would probably need to come back in before the 60 days is up, you know, probably
February.
probably during the February meetings and ask for an extension. At that point, February, we'll have a better idea of where he is on getting the supplies he needs and getting the rest of it built out. So maybe, you know, maybe by February, it's gonna be further along than, you know, what he's anticipating.
Did we not do the extension whenever we approved the license in 2023?
Yeah, it'll have to be done then, the first of the year, but this is an extension just to get him through the end of this year,
Right.
because council approved it to October.
So he'll have to back in January,
Well,
and
he's
then he
gonna,
has to sell.
Come back in.
he's gonna
Yeah,
come
I
back
know
in.
what you're trying to get to. I mean,
I know where you're going with it.
Yeah, I mean, I think I see where you're going with it too, that it seems kind of silly, but basically, we're just trying to follow that procedure.
So if it's, as January 1st, once he gets his license, he's gonna have to start selling in 60 days.
Within 60 days.
And since he's not gonna be able to, he's gotta come back in again.
Exactly.
And
Because
But
they
ask
don't
for
have
an
the
extension
building
all the way
date,
to
I cannot
August.
sell it.
That-
Or whatever, you
Yeah.
know, he
Yeah.
thinks, or whatever council would approve at that point.
yeah, I guess what I was asking was, I get that we're extending it to the end of the year, but if he's coming in 2023 to apply for it, and we already know he's gonna have to extend it, which we know that.
Well, the council hasn't approved his 2023 license yet.
Right.
So, now, it doesn't have to go through all the public hearings and everything, but, you know, but I can add it to the, actually, when we add this to, say, the December agenda for him to have his license renewal,
Right.
you can always put the extension on at that time.
But that's what I'm asking.
That's fine.
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
what I'm
we can do
asking, is so you don't have to come back a third time.
Sorry for all the confusion and disregard my request.
Yeah.
We're just gonna be really friendly with you.
Yeah. But, and as far as, you know, the plan reviews, that's all going smoothly. I think, you know, it's just, having a tough time getting, you know, an architect to prepare the drawings, the hydrology report done.
I even tried to find a building that if there is something available that I can either lease it temporarily and I can work on it till this gets built out and all that, but I couldn't find any building that I can lease it or buy it in Statham right now, so I had to wait till this get finished.
But Nico has essentially, he's done everything that the city has asked for him to do. I think we've had him resubmit the plans. I think we're on the third time now, so he has definitely done everything that the city has asked, or the engineer has asked, or, any sort of plan review. So he and his team have been great. It's just,
Right now, the bottleneck is
we're just,
GDOT. And that was because he had the entrance straight across from Dollar General, and they said he had to move it down so they were offset. And so he's done that, and sent the plan,
We had to move it a little further back.
but they just haven't approved the plan yet. Are you, with him then?
Yes.
Okay.
It's,
Builder?
civil engineer. So
Okay.
he's the one who did all the transport permits and everything.
Doing all the drawings and.
Mr. Patel, on your line tasting, we've had some discussions about line tasting and so forth here. What are you planning to do as far as that portion of your business?
More of the wine tasting. It's basically more of like education class that when I used to had my wine store, I had almost 3,000 to 4,000 labels, and it's almost nothing. In that world, there are so much new keeps coming in. So basically, the wine tasting gives ability to everyone. Meeting is more of knowing, like improving your knowledge and all that, and using that not to educate the people, but to expose them to the people who really make them to. So like I try to bring the winemakers, winery owners and all them, they come and they talk and they explain everything, the process and all that stuff. So it's very, detailed stuff that they get to know while they're enjoying the product. And once a week is normally what I ask for, because that's normally enough for that. But more than that, that room I was trying to explore it for the event purpose too, like event planner thing. So if I can use it with the tasting ability and all that, I can use it for small birthday parties or showers and receptions and stuff like that too. But mostly it's gonna be used for more classes, education classes for the wine.
My
Maybe
understanding
just for the wine, not for the liquor or something. So it won't be like bar or something. It'd be more educational.
My understanding, it has to have a separate entrance coming into the wine tasting
Not
room.
for the tasting itself, and if it's just a wine tasting itself can be in the part of the store, but by the state law now. But if I want to pour it by the glass, just like a restaurant, if I want to sell it by the glass, then I need a separate entrance. And in the future, later on, if I be able to do it with all your tours, there is some fantastic Italian machines. They design just for the wines. And what I would like to bring it in, what I had it in my store in Snellville, it was the first store in Gwinnett County who had it, and that store was so much successful because of those machines. So I'll bring it, and that is why in my plan, as you see, like I do have separate entrance just for that purpose. If I need it, if you would, by your approval, if I'll be able to do that, then I'll need that separate entrance by state. That's why I have it. But right now, just for the wine tasting, I really don't need it by the state license, by the state alcohol order.
What are the limits of alcohol that you can give on those tasting events?
For the wine tasting, by state law, there is no limitation. It's normally up to the city. So in Snellville and in Gwinnett County, where we had it in multiple cities, for tasting purpose, for the wine tasting purpose, they can, for the liquor purpose, they can do only once a week, and it has to be in certain designated part of the store, and it has to be only 8 ounces per person per the tanker, like 2 hours or whatever they set it. So it has to be only once a week, and only 2 or 2.5 hours. That's it for the liquor. For alcohol, for the wine, there is no set. I mean, if somebody wants it, they can do every day. I did it like sometimes, couple times a week, but only when some winemakers came in town and in holiday times, and they can be on Thursday when my traditional was. So then I have to do it on Thursday and then Saturday or whenever they are in town. So it's always up to the city. So Gwinnett County, we didn't have like time limit set or day set, but I did only once a week and just for 2 hours.
What is the amount for,
But
for each tasting? Is it 1 ounce, 2 ounces,
it's like 8 ounce total, so.
8 ounces total?
Right.
Okay.
And so if I do 4 wines on it, if I put 4 wines on tasting, then it could be 1.5 or 2 ounces. So if I put 6 wines, then it would be only like 1 ounce.
How do you monitor each individual that's coming in, the amount that they drink when they come in?
Right, so that's why we had to set up the system. So we were keeping them glass and they don't do it themselves. So we have a designated person who does it and they come in, we have those bottles set up, they go from left to right and they get only 1 tasting. So that way they can never get more than what's allowed. And we try to keep it small, so it was more like it wasn't just walking, it was more like a RSVP staff. So we send the emails out to all the people who are interested in it, and then they send us back, and that's how we know how many people they're coming in. So once we get about 15 to 25 people in 2 hours, 2.5 hours, that time frame, we cut it off.
Oh,
But I had a smaller space too. Over there, I had only 1,500 square feet for whole store and Disney purpose and everything was with here. That's why I'm trying to designate like 2,000 square feet, just so it's for whoever, like try to keep them comfortable. I don't want them to just be on school. Use it more for educational purpose and for that fine, enjoyment purpose, like birthday parties and stuff like that.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Patel. Appreciate your time. Moving on to the next item, number 3 is update facility rental rates. This would approve a new rate schedule for rentals of city facility and their rates based on location and residency. The updated rate schedule includes 50% off discount for non-profit, government, or veteran organizations based on research of the rental applications. 86.11% of all facility rental agreements live outside the city limits of Statham. For comparison purposes, between the year 2011 and 2013, the rental fee for 8 hours, all facilities, community center, Hillman Rainwater, Robert Bridges, was $200 for inside city residents and $425 for outside of the city residents. Between the year 2014-2016, the rental fee for 8 hours, all facilities was $200. Between 2017-2022, the rental fee for 8 hours was $200 for the community center, $100 for Hillman Rainwater, and Robert Bridges Park. The purpose are as follows: $250 for inside city residents for the community center, $400 for outside of city residents. For Hillman Rainwater and Robert Bridges, the fee for inside would be $150 and $250 for outside the city residents. Part of the reason that I would like to see the rate change is the city is, we have to have professional services, and I've done some solicited bids for cleaning between Saturday and Sunday, and it's almost $300 for a company. Because it's a weekend, they would have to put another crew together for that. We try to keep up with it during the week, and it gets thrown on to the street department, but I'm going to say it until I guess the dog is beat to death. The guy will not clean as well as a lady will, and so we get it ready on a Friday, and last weekend was a prime example. The people that rented it second did not take as good a care of it, so the third party had to clean before they could use the facilities, and then clean. so that they would get their rental back. So we wind up taking part of the deposit, or we have to give back to one of the renters, because it's not fair for them to have to clean before and after they rent the facility. So this would help offset some of the cleaning costs, and it actually brings it back in line with what it was prior to 2014. That the facility in Bogart was $250.
Yeah.
And I think it's along the same size as Robert Bridges and the Hillman Rainwater facility. So that's the reason why I'm basically requesting a rate change on the facilities. Any questions at this time?
I have one.
Yes.
Who's checking the building after the renter, make sure they clean it?
Nobody, because I have to pay somebody 2 hours to come out on the weekend.
Well, you know that I time once a month, and I've got my first time all of this year to go down there to use it and it be clean. Giving everybody a refund.
No, not everybody, but too many.
That's the question.
So,
And when we were looking at, the proposed rate increases, one of the first things that we were really looking at was how many, what percentage of people are Statham residents, because it's a Statham community building, and the purpose of it is to be able to provide something or a place to go for a Statham resident. And I did actually go through all of the applications, and 86.11% are from outside of the city of Statham. The majority of people who rent, whether Athens and Winder, really. I mean, that's the majority of where people go and rent, and probably because the Winder facilities are always rented out, so they're trying to find some place to go. But I also know that the Winder facility, I think that's about, $650 or $700 to rent it. But, so it is a slight increase for a Statham resident, $50, increase in rental fee, which, if you look at other places, it's still pretty cheap to rent any of our facilities, but it's also offsetting the cost of the water and the electric as well. Not just.
I feel better if 86.11% of people renting this are outside the city limits.
Yes.
I feel better keeping it the city rate at $200, since tax money's already going from the city residents to it, and then raising the outside rates about $50.
I'm fine with that. I just, I was trying to be fair, because, like I said, you look at the cost that it's going to cost the city to clean it, and then, like I said, the water and electric. But if you wanted to add an additional 50 to an outside city resident and keep inside city resident at 200, I'm fine with that.
I think that would be the fairest thing.
yeah, how much?
If we,
Just basically taking the $50 rate increase. Now, would that be for Hillman as well, in Robert Bridges?
well, anything that we're looking at a rate increase, I would rather see outside the city hit the increase rather than the people paying taxes here on the property. I would rather us offset any costs from outside than our citizens. To me, technically, the people here are already paying a portion of their property taxes to it.
What did you propose for out?
No, they pay in
Cash deposit for whichever rental. So, it doesn't matter if it's for the Hillman or if it's for the community center, it's $150 cash deposit. And if it's something that was over the weekend, or even during the week, I mean, we usually go and check it that following day to see what it looks like, or if there's anything been damaged, or And that's another one of the problems that we've had though is, we just don't have anybody cleaning right after each event is held, so we don't know exactly what is broken. And, I will say that we have lost a large number of tables and a large number of chairs between Hillman and the community center that, we've had to take them all from Robert Bridges, put them back into the Hillman and Community Center, but there's been so many that have been, broken that now we have to replace Robert Bridges when we get that up and going with, I think, 5 or 6 tables. You know, and those are $300 each, they're not cheap, and the chairs are $25
Now, I
each.
know that in the part, it's actually a $300 key deposit.
Yes.
And before you get that back, they inspect it, you turn your key in, and then, you know, you get whatever.
Well, part of approving the new rates is, made a new agreement. I feel like it provides a little more clarification and also holds the renter more accountable. And also, because a lot of people will come in, you know, if they rent it on Saturday or Sunday, Monday morning at 8 o'clock, they're wanting their deposit back, and we haven't even had an opportunity to go over there and get it, or take a look at it. So, part of the new agreement is that, what is it, I think I have it in here, is, within 5 business days, they will receive their deposit back, because that gives us enough opportunity to go over there, inspect the chairs, and inspect
Yeah,
the
that's the
cleaning.
next thing y'all will see, make the time frame before they get that money back.
Right.
Sure. It's-
So, whereas we did not have one before, and it
Yeah.
caused a lot of problems,
Yeah.
just because people expect their money right then and there, and, you know, so this allows the city ample time to go and make sure that nothing has been damaged or broken.
And one of the other things to consider too is that we're about to start making some improvements.
Well, I think
So-
also, we need to make those improvements before we go up on the price on the, you know, outer bridges and Hillman, because the roof needs to be repaired. We need heating and air conditioning. You can't run an event at a place if you don't have heat or air or something like that. So, we might not rent those places until we make the, I'm not saying
Yeah, and
It's booked.
it's gonna need a roof, and that's why I want it before it leaks, but it's fully functional.
okay, well,
Robert
I'm
Bridges,
thinking it's leaking or something.
Yeah.
why we need a roof.
no, it, on the roof holding the sheeting on, so, yeah, it definitely needs it. But, it's not leaking right now, so it is a fully functional building. I'd like to get the heat and air situation at Robert Bridges taken care of, but it, you know, like I said, I reached out to 7 companies, and I got one that actually came, did a survey, and gave me a bid on it. But it's double what it was last year, and I don't agree with that. I don't think
Me
that's
too,
right.
because I just got my roof appraised. Well, materials for anything is
So,
gonna be more now than it was a year ago.
But after the heat and air, then Robert Bridges would be, and it's a nice facility, and we get requests for it, but we haven't been renting it. We've gotten the windows all replaced after the vandalism, but, you know, it's either, that one is either too hot or it's too cold outside, and the heat and the air it works, but it's not adequate. So, but as far as Hillman, it is, fully functional, and it's rented almost every weekend, and a lot of
I think
weekends,
they're both
2
booked
days.
throughout the rest of this year.
Yeah, we don't have a single Saturday.
So that you can have somebody come in and flip it as
Well,
far as cleaning
that's
it.
why I'm
That's why we're
asking,
trying to.
that's why I'm asking for this, because I got 2 bids, and they're both almost $300 to come in and clean on the weekend.
So it would be,
No, okay.
Well, most of the time during the week,
But it makes up
it's,
for it. I mean, it's all gonna even out
most of the time during the week, it's nonprofit organizations,
So it's
or, you know, like a Boy Scouts or whatever. And so they're not paying. The weekends they pay.
But I think that 5-day delay on getting their deposit back will help.
Is there any way we could put a subcommittee together to kind of look this over? I have a problem, and I don't know if the rest of y'all, I read where we've got written absolutely no alcoholic beverages, and then we go on, but, you know, the wording is not,
Because you'd be surprised at how many people will bring alcohol into one of our facilities when they say that they're not going to. So,
They're supposed to have a licensed bartender.
yes,
I mean, the wording on there needs to be changed around a little bit. Because at first you say no, and then but, you know, it's just the way it's worded, so I'm wondering if we could just look these things over and if you have alcohol, it needs to be inside or outside, so that means can people have alcohol?
it says it all on the next page. Under the additional terms and conditions.
I just wonder how many people read all these, go through and read all that, all this. They should, but,
They sign it.
yeah, they
They sign
should.
it.
When they do it, and they didn't get a bartender or an off-duty, they lose their deposit. But I've actually had, renters that say, well, I didn't expect to get my deposit back anyway. So they don't really care if they clean it or not. And that's one of the reasons why I'm asking for to get the rate changed, because it's gonna offset. I did ask for funds in the budget, but, it wasn't approved, so this is a way of being able to offset.
I wonder if there's a way, I know she said, a lot of people don't read this stuff, they just sign the front page. Is there a way maybe we can get to where they initial
Yes,
each?
I have it on there. On, let's see. On page 4, this is the page where they're signing, actually they signed several times. They're signing on the first one, and that's the actual agreement between us and the renter. On page 4, they're signing, that they have read and they understand the application, and there's also a spot to initial that they have read through all of the terms and conditions. And then, pages 5, 6, 7, and 8 are actually what we give to them to take with them, which also contains all the same terms and conditions that they just signed. It also, has the information about the key, when it can be picked up, where it can be picked up, the alcohol, who to call, for emergencies, dial 911, facility addresses. So pages 5 through 8 is what we will provide to the renter when they sign it.
Directly ask if there would be alcohol, and make sure that they are aware that if you are a bartender, and you must have an off-duty police officer there.
And
An
it has to
Officer
be,
Hood has been, one of them that has been hired to facilitate, so,
city
yes.
of Statham, please.
yes.
I just didn't like how it was worded. That's basically what I wanted to point out, is that first you say no, and then you say, well,
Well, up
But-
here it says, will alcohol be consumed on the ground? Then down here it says absolutely no alcohol, no exceptions, unless you provide a licensed bartender. And it goes on to visit this Statham Police Department for an off-duty officer application. So they are very direct in their questions to try to alleviate. We had a situation at the Hillman with one of them, and we had two over here. So we're kind of learning as we go that they can say they're not going to have it. Officer Hood also has taken it upon himself to review the video, pull the video from each weekend, first of the week, and then be able to review it if there's any damage that's done. We replaced 5 tables, I believe, over here. I think 2 at the Hillman. So
Lots of chairs.
Jacob on the street department has said that he will take ownership of it, and he will literally open and close every table and every chair when he checks it out. And I said, I don't really care if it takes all day to check all of the facilities, but make sure that you open the chair and you sit in it. The work, put it away. So I also got a bid from a company to go in and they'll clean all of the tables and chairs. It's a 3-step process. They'll treat it all, scrub it, treat it all with Clorox, and then when they're all done cleaning it, put a sealant on it. And that, I believe, was $250 to do all of the 105 chairs across the street, and then 10 round tables and 2 rectangles. So, and that would be a portion of that for Hillman because there's half as many. Facility because we haven't been renting it, so we borrowed the tables to fill in the meantime. So we have gotten some prices for that to try to make them look a lot more presentable and do the improvements. Yes.
I just have a couple of questions learning about this is, what Lee was trying to get to is.
Can you wait until, you know, did you sign?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
I got one that, who controls the thermostat of these things?
They
So
could
if we
change it.
Yeah.
Because we got in there, all lights turned off upon vacancy, like when we do VRBO or whatever, they got instructions to set the thermostat back to a certain temperature. And if we're concerned about the light
I think
bill.
you've even had them locked and stuff before, and they've been broken off and changed and adjusted.
Would it be worth it to put a smart thermostat in there, somebody can control, put it behind a locked box?
I mean, I don't want to micromanage people, but if we're setting,
My business and
yeah, I mean, if we're setting things like turn all the lights off and make sure the countertops are clean, then I think we probably should look at asking, I mean, not necessarily finding people, but ask them to please set the thermostat back at X degrees.
I can add that. Actually, I think, read through the current agreement and see what that says, because there may be something in there about it, but I'll add that.
That's
Something
probably
else
gonna be
that
the
we may
biggest deal.
consider, and it would cost more, than in Winder, that at their, facility that they rent, they have someone there on site.
That also is reflected in the cost of the rental.
That's what I'm saying.
So,
That we
I mean-
would have to go maybe cheaper than us having to repair all the things that they break. Just a thought. And they're there to take care of the heat, the air, whatever comes up. You know, someone was on site that's paid, so.
Okay, next on the agenda, item number 4, this is an ordinance, O-22-05, approval of an amended fiscal 21 budget ordinance. This is the first reading, to approve an amended fiscal charter. An additional budget amendment has been proposed to cover the effect of the adjustments to the general fund expenditures from the SPOS adjustment, which was explained earlier as to why we needed to do that amendment. Are there any questions for the auditor in reference to that, to refresh anyone's memory? Number 5 is an acceptance of an amended fiscal 21 audit. This would accept the amended fiscal 21 audit financial due to adjustments in the SPOS activity. Counselor, question.
Yes, Mayor.
Okay, would we be able to do a special call after the work session to accept the amended?
You, the amended audit or the amended budget?
The amended,
It would have to be both.
yeah, it would have to be both. It's the amended budget ordinance and also the amended fiscal 21 audit.
You would be able to do that, Mayor, yes, but advertise that special call meeting in accordance with Georgia law. Believe it's a 24-hour notice, but I'd have to double check on that.
Okay, so the answer is no.
Not right after this meeting.
Okay,
You certainly could not do it tonight.
okay. Thank you.
What if we set it for sometime next week? Quicker we can get this thing to the state, quicker we can wrap it up. And I think everybody's questions are answered.
Is there a day that would
Tuesday or
work?
Yeah, Tuesday.
Like,
I'll do
Tuesday?
the 11th, the 6th.
Could you do it earlier than that, Mike? Could anybody do that earlier than that?
that's probably the
Tuesday.
earliest, because
Is that the earliest that you could get there?
for, for.
Yeah, no, to make sure I can confidently make it, yeah.
Could you call him my phone?
For items
And
number
Mayor, just to
4.
be clear, the notice requirement is that, either the city clerk or you or someone with the city simply needs to call the newspaper. There doesn't have to be any kind of formal ad run in the paper. You just have to, notify the press at least 24 hours in advance of that meeting.
Okay.
We can take
Well,
care of it tomorrow.
we're going to do a special call on the 11th at 6 p.m.
For items number 4 and 5.
for items 4 and 5, the ordinance O-2205 and the acceptance of the amended fiscal 21 audit. And then they will be able to do it more quickly. Okay.
And
Thank you so much.
Mayor, I don't believe there's any reason to go into executive session.
Counselor, there will be no executive session this evening.
No, Mayor, there's no need for executive session today.
Okay. At this time, we have citizen input. And first on the list,
Mr. McCormick?
Hello, everyone. Thanks for allowing me to speak. I'm Dwight McCormick, 2123 Smith Drive. I'm also the chairman of the Tree, Green Space, and Beautification Committee. Had basically a question to the mayor and administration about the tree that we just took down over at Castos.
Because we're doing a sewer project there, and we had the forestry, his name escapes me, Seth was out. He said that due to the pipe that will have to be replaced, it will damage more than 40% of the tree root system, which will cause it to most certainly die. That they would rather it come down normally and the correct way than to fall on their building. So they were on one side of the coin, they hated to see it go, and the other side of the coin, knowing what Seth said, have gone across that road, so they're most certainly part of the problem with the sewer, or the, storm drain system backing up.
Additionally, I would like to know where the I was just making sure that we weren't, the purpose of the committee was to protect our canopy trees. When a big one comes down,
We did studies, it was trying to avoid going, we wanted to try and go across the street and come up, but we've got a water main going down through there, so we're forced to stay on the same side, and that causes an issue. Yes, sir.
Apologies, I got disconnected.
Yep, we heard it go. So, but anyway, back to you.
So, basically, last year and the year before, and the very first year of the Tree, Green Space, and Beautification Committee, we've been in a constant battle with the city, removing trees, depleting the green space, tree, and beautification budget, and then when it comes time to carry out the necessary items that the committee deems necessary, last year we got caught at the end of the budget, and I want to make sure that doesn't happen again. So that might require a little bit better communication from the city to the committee about what trees we're taking down, when we're taking them down, if that's possible. So I guess we can do a better job of keeping an eye on the budget, making sure that we have all of the money that we need to carry out our objectives for the Tree, Green Space, and Beautification Committee, and do what we need to do and what we plan to do around the town. So that was basically all I had tonight. Thank you.
Thank you.
Cheryl Venable, 2021 Broad Street. Here to talk about a couple of things. Alleys, I have not heard if we've made any decisions on these alleys. I have not seen anyone coming between 7th and 8th Street, to check the culverts. We're going to enter into our rainy season. My yard flooded beyond means last year. I know we had big rain, but I also know the culvert under 7th Street was plugged up. It flooded my neighbor's house, it flooded my backyard, it flooded downstream some other people. So I would like to be, like it to be known that it is becoming that season, and I would like to know what the council is going to do to address this, because I just don't want to go through this flooding issue again. The trees in the alleyway behind my house are falling. The ones right next to my neighbors have fallen, so it's making its own dam. The culvert, the only way the water moves is when it gets sucked into the ground. Now, on the other side of 6th and 7th Street and 8th Street, water comes off of Broad Street. So not only are we getting it down this way from 6th Street to 7th Street to 8th Street, we're getting it, down this way too. So I would like the council to be aware that you need to look at this issue, as is the sidewalk. The sidewalk that was repaired and replaced in front of my house has sank. It is a toe knocker. It's a toe tripper. For some odd reason, I keep on forgetting it's there. Hit my toe and stubbed and about fell. So I would just like, once again, you to revisit those issues. Okay, and then the other thing is the council has asked for several projects to get costs on. The only thing I see on the city website for RFP is the city hall, for changes in city hall. Why are we not using the website for all these projects, for roofing, for appraisal? You want transparency when you are going out for government money. When you are spending government money, you want to make sure you're hitting everything you can, not necessarily a phone call. When you start calling and picking vendors, you're looking at liability for just picking certain vendors. You have to be more aware of your transparency. You have the web, you have GMA, you have the newspaper. We need to start using these facilities because in today's world, these businesses check those websites. And you're going to get, hopefully, more competition. Competition brings down costs. The other thing I wanted to hit on, sorry that I interrupted, you're talking about rental of community facilities. I think Mr. Patterson was trying to hit on, per item that they're reading, have a little line out there where they initial it. Kind of like that doctor's office. You're always initialing everything. The other thing is, while they're having these rentals during the weekend, have the officers do a drive-by, just for awareness, so that they're. Inventory of each building. You should have an inventory list. You should also have a contact list, like a little book. But for the city to know its property, go in and do inventory. Check in. When they check in, they have to sign everything. They have to lay down a credit card for when they do leave. If there's extra damages, they're going to be aware your credit card's going to be charged. It happens to us when we go to a hotel. You are told, if we go in there, something's missing, your credit card's going to get charged. We need to use these items to protect the city. The other thing I would like to see is our agenda change. Input. After each agenda item, especially during a work session, open it up to the citizens. I'm using time on things for the agenda that I was not aware of that I might want to. I came prepared to talk about something else. It's okay to give input, especially when there's agenda items that come up that night that we're not aware of. We can't prepare. We don't know what you're going to say. I personally would like to see after the work session agenda, citizen input. Just time, does anyone have a question? Ask the question. Because I think that also brings up questions that maybe you didn't think about. I got it. I got it.
And Mr. President?
Yep. Thank you very much. My name is Kurt Bogenreiter. I live at 1969 Broad Street. This is going to be my third attempt, I guess my third request, for Mayor Joe Piper to step down from his position as mayor for the aforementioned reasons that I had disclosed at previous meetings, but to include just general poor maintenance of the personnel of Statham, poor management of, I guess, a number of different aspects. To include some things that Mrs. Venable touched on, It was this administration that eliminated citizens' ability to be placed on the city council agendas. I don't know if you know that, but that was this administration that basically removed your ability to be placed on the city council agenda on either the work session meeting or the regular meetings. Also, as Mrs. Venable touched on, it was this administration that an input at the very end of the city council meetings. I mean, basically eliminating your ability to reach the majority of the citizens that may show up to the city council meetings, because many of them leave after the executive session. I guess you'd have to ask yourself, why was that done? So those reasons, coupled with, again, the fact that this man has been through personal bankruptcy not once, not twice, not 3 times, but 4 times, should exclude him from being able to manage even the toilet paper budget for the city. Okay? The desire, I guess, by this administration to get $160,000, not the $40,000 that's being budgeted, to put more improvements into the front of City Hall, where is $40,000 going? You have to ask yourself, why is this being done when the downtown area is neglected? I mean, there's a lot of improvements that can be done to the downtown area, including maintenance of broken railings, numerous trip hazards. I mean, I could go on with the laundry list of things wrong with the downtown area that are completely neglected by this administration. Let's take that $40,000 and put it towards that. Why would we put $40,000 towards embellishing this building for the people who are managing our tax dollars ineffectively? So again, I plead on behalf of the 120 to 150 people who signed the recall petition, I ask Mayor Joe Piper to step down from his position as mayor, and I will request this at every single meeting that I attend. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Next.
That's all. There, unless there's anybody else.
Okay. At this time, we have the minutes for September 2022 regular meeting submitted to council on the 22nd of September. Any questions or corrections?
Is there a motion?
Do I have a motion to accept the minutes from the September 2022?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All those in favor? Okay, it's unanimous. And lastly,
Mayor, do you mind if I read something real quick?
Sure.
That was submitted to, City Hall on Thursday, September 29th?
go ahead.
Just so you can read. Chief and City Council. My cousin, who is a stroke victim, had difficulty walking to the Sunflower Festival. Noticing her struggling along, 3 different policemen came to her aid. Policemen in the world. They are so dedicated to Statham citizens. I see them often as I live directly behind their office. I would be saddened if one of them ever left the force. Even with his title, the chief is exceptionally cordial and friendly, a great guy. Mr. Mayor, you have done a fantastic job putting together such a great team. Also, our city workers are the best. Thank you for caring. Becky Harrison.
Here,
Just wanted to share that.
Thank you, Chief and Captains, officers, I appreciate all of you. I guess the last thing on here is the agenda, or the adjournment. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
So. All those in favor? Thank you.